Hello, my name is Mike Emery and I'm the site administrator of Cornwall Iron Furnace. Of course, we would have loved to have done our Christmas at Cornwall event this year. So we're shooting segments just to go ahead and to bring a little flavor of the season to all of you out there. So one of the things that I wanted to show today is a family tradition of mine. My family is Pennsylvania German descent. And one of the people that had a real influence on me was a grandmother of mine, a woman by the name of Betty Emery. And Betty every year would go ahead and make various types of cookies, and one of the favorite ones that we always had were cutout cookies or Christmas cookies. So that's the segment that you're going to see today. I'm going to go ahead and bring also an assistant in to help me do this. So I hope that you enjoy this cooking segment, and hopefully you can add this, if it's not already a tradition in your own household, you can add this to your own family traditions.
For this recipe, you will need 1 cup of shortening, 2 cups of granulated sugar, 3 eggs, 3½ to 4 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla or lemon extract. Cream shortening and sugar together. Add eggs and flavoring and beat until fluffy. Sift the flour. Measure and add salt and baking powder. Sift again. Add sifted dry ingredients. Stir until a medium soft dough is formed. Chill several hours in the refrigerator.
Now that we have our ingredients together, we're going to go ahead and start with the cookies. We went and made up our dough ahead of time, and of course, like the recipe said, it really does need to be refrigerated. So let me just go ahead to the refrigerator and I'll grab some of the dough. So we always go ahead and make it up, of course, ahead of time. This really should be chilled overnight. And one of the reasons why it really needs to be chilled is that if not, the cookies themselves, as you roll them out, will actually start to fall apart. We found that out the hard way. We've been in our home here for about 10 years, and when we first started to make this recipe in here, it wouldn't work. And that's because for many years we would go ahead and roll out the cookies on our wooden countertops. When we got stone countertops, they're at room temperature. So unfortunately, they would impart their heat onto the dough, and then unfortunately, let me put this back in the refrigerator, it would actually melt the dough, so the cookies would go ahead and fall apart. So I'm going to go ahead and have an assistant, my daughter, Nora. Come on in, Nora. She's going to help me out with the cookies. So what do we have to do first?
First we need to get the flour on the dough.
Right, we need a little bit of flour on the dough, okay.
And then we need the rolling pin and put some flour on that.
Okay.
Then we roll it out.
So we have our flour on the pin. I already have our board, so we're using a board again because that's going to keep it, the dough colder than if we try to use a stone countertop. So let's go ahead. We want to go ahead and roll this out to a pretty good thin piece, and it all depends on how your family likes these. Some people like them very thin, very crisp. Other folks like them just a little larger, and depending on what type of cookie cutters you're going to pick out, that's also going to have some bearing on it. So the more delicate the cookie cutters are, the more pieces can tear off of your cookie. So here we go. We have that rolled out.
A little.
Oh, we have a couple little areas here. So we have that rolled out pretty thin. Some folks would roll it out a little bit thinner. So we have a number of old cookie cutters, antique cookie cutters. My wife and I collected these over a number of years.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, we have quite a few. You can even see behind us we have one basket full of them. So we have a lot of different shapes we can do. So one of the things that we should do, different cookie cutters,
Can I do that?
yep, we can just go ahead into the flour. So Nora, if you want to go ahead and put that in the flour a little bit.
I don't remember doing that.
Okay, so we'll do that and go ahead and cut one out. Again, we kind of go toward the edge.
Let's go for here.
Yep.
Is that a good spot?
So go ahead and push down very firmly. Give it a little shake and pull that out. Okay. So let's go ahead and do a few more of those. Put that in the flour a little bit.
Can I put this one?
Sure, go ahead. So give it a little shake, and sometimes they'll just stay on the board, sometimes they'll come out. So right now, try to conserve as much of the dough as possible.
Can I do it right over here?
Let's look. Well, that looks like a good spot for it. Go ahead, give that one a shake.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is try to take some of these off. Again, you have to work pretty quickly. So I'm using an offset spatula, and I'm going to put that onto a greased cookie sheet.
And sometimes I pick up the scraps and make them into a ball, and I flatten them out so then we can use more of the cookie batter.
So right now I'm just trying to get some of these off because again the clock is ticking because as it gets warmer these become softer. So the offset spatula really allows you to get underneath. And put that down. Oh, I just want to move that over for a moment more.
Okay.
Okay. All right, why don't you cut out a few more cookies?
Maybe I'll choose this one.
Okay, go ahead and give it a dip if you can. Get it in there, just get a little bit of flour. That just allows it to release a little better.
Maybe over here.
Okay, go ahead, try to put that one in.
There we go. Give it a little shake.
Get a little shake.
Bring it up. And use the spatula.
Okay,
Chip, can I do it?
go ahead and give it a shot.
Because I never did that before.
Okay, 1 second. Let's look here. Let's cut to it. Oh, this one here. You have to watch that one. That's why I said some of the older ones can be a little bit more delicate. This one has a very delicate neck, which
Yes,
Our
because
ladies-
it's very thin.
very thin. So let's put that on.
A little dog, maybe.
Okay. I'll tell you what. Let's get another couple of big ones here.
Oh.
You want to do the dog?
Yes,
Okay.
the little dog.
Let me get this picture out of the way first.
It kind of looks like a bird.
You think so? Okay, they all have kind of different looks. Okay, you try to put that in there?
Maybe.
Right about there? Go ahead, push it down good and hard. A little shake. Oh, that one's going to stay inside. Sometimes they do that.
Yes.
So what we do,
Sometimes there's a little hole that you can press down on it.
yeah, and this one has that.
Ooh, it's actually a deer.
Yeah.
I had never noticed that.
So you kind of have to put him down there. All right.
Yes.
So we don't have a lot of dough left on this one. Well, we're going to need another piece of dough for that. So let's go ahead. I got another man in the moon on this
Can I
one.
take this?
Well, here, let's go ahead and we'll scrape that up and we'll have to start over again. We'll do a little bit more.
Mushing this together.
Well, let's get some fresh from the refrigerator, but let's go ahead, we'll reserve what we have here.
It's like Play-Doh or slime.
You think so? A little Play-Doh?
Yeah.
Okay, put yours in here. Get all the little pieces, then we'll have to,
It looks
Put some
like a
more
middle
out.
one.
yeah, okay. So we have that ball.
I'll get the one from the refrigerator.
Okay, go ahead and get that out of the refrigerator. I'll have to move all our cutters off of here again. Turn that over.
Got it.
Okay, so I'm going to take a new quarter out of our bowl, and we'll replace the one that we just put in there.
And we might use it later.
Yeah, so we definitely will use it later. That's the one thing, as you go ahead and use the dough that you have, it starts to retain more flour. So the dough's actually going to become a little thicker or a little tougher. So your first cookies...
Need more flour, that doesn't fit.
Well, here, let me have that one. You can go ahead and do this. Put it on the edges, put it on your hands, dump it out. Okay.
Dumping, there's some stuck in
Yeah,
it.
well, that's fine. That's fine. Come over here, Sis.
Yeah. Because I
Okay.
haven't on the camera before.
So do that. A little bit more on.
Can I roll?
Go ahead, give it a shot. Let me just put a little bit more on
Can I
top.
use the big one or should I use the little one?
Well, I think you're ready for the big one. Okay. Now let me go back again. Get it square.
Yeah, because I've done this before.
Yes, you have.
It's like, it's a family tradition to make the cookies, and we sometimes give it to the neighbors.
To our neighbors and to relatives and friends. And,
Family.
yeah. So after we cut out more cookies, what's the next step that we have to do, Nora?
My favorite part, the thing that I always do, is put sprinkles on them.
Yeah, you are the head decorator
Yes.
here. So let's go ahead. Which one did you want to use? You wanted to use one of the big ones?
The tree.
Okay, so that's right here. So go ahead and take that over close to an edge.
Right over there.
That's great. Push it down. Give it a little twist. Oh, that one came out very nicely.
Woo!
So let me get rid of this little bit here. And again, the offset spatula really works well for these.
Yes.
And when they're soft, if there's any problems, you can go ahead and do a readjust.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's cut out some more, Nora.
Okay. Maybe a heart that can fit right there.
Yes.
Because the small ones can fit after you use an area with the big one.
Okay. So I'll tell you what, let's do a man on the moon. Those are a nice shape. That's a nice size cookie.
How about a shoe?
Okay, we can do that next, though I think we'll have to wait for that probably to the next one that we do. We're starting to run out of space, so I'm going to do another small one, Nora.
Okay.
And then we can,
I don't want to wash my hands.
okay.
Hope I'm not getting flour in the milk.
Nope, you're fine.
And also why we have milk is before we do the sprinkles, we put some milk on the cookies so then the sprinkles stick.
Okay, so we're going to do that in just a moment. Now we're going to do some cookie decorating, so I'm going to move this out of the way for the moment.
Can I get the sprinkles?
Well, we'll do that in a moment. So
Okay.
let's go ahead and we'll move our tray of cookies. Again, we've already had pre-greased this cookie sheet.
Yes.
And what we're going to do is we already have some milk in this container. And we have a brush to be able to brush the milk onto the cookies. And then we also have the sprinkles. Nora, here, you want to take
Different colored sprinkles.
different colored sprinkles. So here you go.
Go.
And we have this. So what we're going to do is we're going to start. Oh, what do we have to do first?
We have to put milk on.
Okay, so just a little bit of a brush of milk.
And then
So
just
each cookie's-
lightly put it on.
Now Nora, of course, has her colored sprinkles. I have something a little bit different. And in
Cinnamon.
this container, this is cinnamon sugar. So all I did is just take regular sugar, add just a little bit of cinnamon to this, and mix it together. So we also use this for things like French toast. as well. And that's really traditionally what would be on them. Now, if you want your cookies to look a little bit different, what my grandmother did is actually put an egg wash on them. So you just take egg, beat that, add just a little bit of milk to thin it down, and once you put that on the cookie, that will give it kind of a glossy sheen. This will just really allow that sugar to stick to everything. So Nora's really getting every one of those with a decent amount, and again, that's there just to allow everything to stick here.
And remember, do it very lightly,
Yeah,
because you don't want them to break if you do it too hard.
All right, see what, just got those two?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to do a couple, while you're doing that, I'm just going to do a couple on this end.
On the table.
Oh, that's fine, we can clean that up.
Nice.
So I'm just doing a little bit of the sugar on it, so just enough that you can cover it. I'm going to get this one as well, and I'm going to have Nora do most of the rest of them. So what color are you going to use first?
I have no idea.
Well, why don't you come over here?
I'm just opening.
Well, that's fine, I can give you a hand. So we're going to open these up.
Thank you.
So what we have white, we have green, we have red, and we have blue. So let's go ahead and just take a little bit of each. So we have a green tree.
Yes. We'll take a green tree and a blue bird.
A blue bird, all right. So this is just sanding sugar. You can get this in the baking aisle at most grocery stores. And of course here locally with a lot more baking, you can get a lot different places as well. So just putting a little bit.
And a red heart.
Oh, and a red heart. Oh, that sounds good.
And remember, don't put too much on, and try not to get too much on the pan because it can stick.
Yes, that will burn to the pan eventually, right?
Yes.
So we're trying to be somewhat careful, but if a little gets on the pan,
It's okay.
that's okay too, right? So this is really a great activity to do with kids, and even if you really didn't want to make the recipe, you can also go ahead and buy pre-made
Cookies.
cookie dough that you would be able to do this, roll this out, because kids really do enjoy it. And if you don't have oodles and noodles of cookie cutters like we do, you can even use other things to improvise, anything just to cut the dough, even a glass or something like that. We'll go ahead and cut the dough. And add a little extra to this one. All right.
And I added some of that to the...
I think you had a good idea with those red
Yeah.
hearts. So let me put a little red on that heart.
Now make a... And this one is the last one.
Is that the last one?
Yes.
Okay.
Look, I'm gonna make this Christmas one. Put some red and green on it.
Oh wow, that sounds nice. So really no wrong way to decorate these. Okay?
I'm actually putting all the colors on.
You could putting them all on that one.
Yes.
Okay? So we have those decorated right now. So what we're going to do...
Wait.
What?
There's one more thing
What?
to put on that one.
What else?
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon. You want a little on that? Okay, that's an everything cookie. So we have a little bit on there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put that into our oven, preheated at 350 degrees. And we'll bake that for about 10 minutes. So we'll set the timer and show you what they look like when they're finished. All right, well, let's go ahead and check to see how our cookies made out. Let's reach in here in the oven. Pull these out.
They smell so good.
They do smell good. So, let me keep this over here. So what we have to do is the cookies actually have to come off, and then we can put them on a drying rack. Oh. Ooh, that's
But they are hard enough
if you drop them like that.
they'll stay put. But if you drop them before, then could be destroyed.
Yeah, you want to do this fairly quickly after they come out of the oven because when they're in the oven, they're actually fairly soft. But because of the sugar content, they get hard pretty quickly. And if they get too hard, they'll start to stick. That's why the small offset spatula is really ideal for bringing these off because you can get them beforehand. So they harden up. And even some of these right now are even just starting to harden up a little more.
Yes.
So you got to be a little careful. Or occasionally you break them, and nothing wrong with that. If you do break them, you get to eat them right away, I guess. So.
Break one.
Uh-oh. Not yet.
I want to try these because they look amazing.
Yes. So another thing is if you wanted to use these, now traditionally, Pennsylvania Germans would also use these as decorations. So I used to work in a museum called Landis Valley, and we had a tavern, and we would go ahead and decorate with the cookies. We'd actually hang them in the windows. So it is something that when they're still soft, you can go ahead and take a toothpick, put a hole in the very top of them. That way you can run a small string or a thread through them. So that's another use of them, of course. Eating them is preferable, but you can also go ahead and use them as decoration. So
I would rather eat them.
you would rather eat them. So which one are you going to eat? Now these are hot. They just came out. So why don't we try one from our first batch?
This one.
That one? Okay. I'm going to try this little man. I'll tell you what. I'm going to try this one. He's not too hot yet. Those are good. You make a good cookie, Nora.
You too.
Okay. So thank you for watching our video. Thank you for joining us for our Cornwall Iron Furnace virtual Christmas program. So hopefully when we're in person next year, you can come out to our program. I oftentimes make these. My wife and my children, we make these to go ahead and to serve as refreshments. So I know you can't eat one today, but if you come and join us for our event next year, come into the visitor center, you can go ahead and try some of our cookies. So,
or you can make some yourself, because this wasn't a tutorial.
That's true. So if you don't want to wait until next year, go ahead and look at the recipe, follow our instructions through here, and you should have a good time making cookies. And this is a great thing to do with children or grandchildren. So who doesn't love a cookie? So again, I thank you very much. Nora, what do we say? Merry Christmas?
Merry Christmas and eat good cookies.
Okay, well thank you.